Welcome back for part 2, the continuation of Realize Your Inner Healing Power for Your True Self-Value, which starts with the second point of its understanding. I covered a lot of material in the introduction of part 1, which begins with 4 opening, thought-provoking questions for laying down the groundwork of where your true innate value comes from. I also explained the structure of the content that is given in 3 points that will help you receive a fuller understanding and enable you to open more and begin to go deeper for your self-realizations and expansion from deeper healings. So I highly recommend watching part 1 if you haven't done so already, which ends after the first point is given, or rewatch it before continuing with this one, which will begin with the second point. Let us now begin onto the second point for the right understanding to realize your inner healing power for your true self-value. It is what will help you go into the gap to heal it bit by bit, what you find in there, as you honestly, realistically fill each bit with love using the healing phrase. On the surface, the understanding of unconditional loving acceptance may look easy and simple to do, which it is, or it could look like something impossible to do on things that feels really bad or negative and scary, and so not feeling safe to do so, which we then unawarely keep them covered up, hoping they will go away. This is how our limited ego's intellect could easily, possibly react or interpret doing the healing phrase. I do know that these assumptions and feelings could take place because this was how some of my past students reacted and struggled with it at first. However, after giving them more explanations addressing each of their individual apprehensions, they were then able to apply it sincerely on their most troubling and stressful long-time issues. It took time with continuous application of their healing phrases because it is like melting down an iceberg at times when undoing a hurtful programming in our system. Plus, our ego's knee-jerk reaction is to resist and protect the iceberg. But with dedication from a strong heart's desire rooted from our spirit's soul self, success will be achieved and will break through in spite of an old programming of a limiting belief. Each of my students benefited greatly from their repeated use of their personal healing phrases when they became open to receiving the understandings they needed. I'll share one example of a miracle from a 20-year-long court battle over a legal ownership of a family property being unfairly challenged. My student, who is the rightful owner, finally won the case after she used the healing phrase on this long-standing, stressful situation that went on for the past 20 years. This is what I mean by a powerfully effective healing, undoing process when using the healing phrase with right understanding. Our unconscious thoughts and the limiting beliefs and false judgments in our thought system always have power because we are created with free will. So now, here is another gap. We are not aware how we are hurting and imprisoning ourselves with these limiting beliefs and judgments as they sit in hiding in our subconscious. Fear and self-doubt, anxieties and panic attacks, anger and hurts, all these negative emotions are not easy to quickly embrace into a real, honest, loving acceptance, even if we can make ourselves say that we now do give them acceptance for that purpose of releasing them for our healing. The reason for this is that most of the time, our normal, instant, unconscious reaction to these energy vibrations is to push against them because of our programmed fear. And so the automatic setting to overcome or numb these uncomfortable feelings or negative emotions has already kicked in. So a part of us is already fighting or acting as a contradiction when we say, I love my hurts, I love myself with being angry, or loving the anger and resentments, etc. On the other hand, when we use our limitless power of choice and say, I choose to give my own unconditional loving acceptance, we are not going against any part of ourselves or pressuring yourself to love something you really don't, because you are simply choosing. What is all this for? It is about going into the gap of our consciousness to discover what is blocking us so that we can undo or melt away this energy blockage to become free to fulfill our heart's desires, which are united with our soul's purpose. Let this understanding sink in. Take a deep breath so that you will be able to release with ease and peacefully undo a negative energy through your higher self. We need to gain real loving power over our old fears and hurts or false judgments from generations back, not just in this lifetime, but have gotten programmed in our system, as well as release and undo anxieties and panic attacks from our nervous system and emotional body. And the way to do that is to choose to give it our own unconditional loving acceptance, as worded in the healing phrase. The word choose is used in each of the three sections of it. The third point in the right understanding to realize your inner healing power for your true self-value is that as you continue opening for expanding your self-awareness in loving light and choosing to recognize what needs to be released that was hidden before in the gap of consciousness, you will also be opening up more to your natural innate joy in oneness with your inherent true limitless worthiness. But why does it? Why does this process opens us up to our inborn connection with our unchangeable, limitless worthiness, which naturally contains joy? Because every buried pocket of judged against old hurt feelings and anger, which is a normal reaction to being hurt, as well as hate, resentments, and misunderstandings, and so forth, occupies a space in our emotional body, system, and consciousness, and that space is the gap. This gap, holding many pockets of these suppressed, fear-based energy vibrations, then acts as a wall, separating us from the wholeness of infinite love deep within. What happens then each time we become aware and acknowledge with loving care unupsetting emotion that we are feeling? And what happens when we also notice what else pops up? And then remembering that the loving light of truth is merely unconditionally loving all of our feelings without judgment and can help us free those feelings through our higher self to naturally vibrate back to our original wholeness of love. Can you begin to see how this inner work for our inner healing would realistically open and expand our meaningfulness and pave our well-grounded way to our united wholeness of real freedom for our joy-filled, authentic, unique self-expression, which we are meant to bring forth in this lifetime to heal Earth while evolving humanity with divine love. do click on the cameo of me showing now on the screen so that you can subscribe. I'm looking forward to connecting with you again in my next video. Happy healing!